Brian, thanks so much for having us at the dealership today. Dave, welcome. Obviously this year some big news came out. Paragon, the #1 Honda dealership in the world.
Finally.
How does it feel?
Finally, it feels great. Really, it's been a long struggle for us. This is our Super Bowl. We won the Super Bowl after all the years. And it's been, we've never won it before. And the team that we were able to finish ahead of, Norm Reeves in Cerritos, California, they've been the champions for 29 years. So it was really special to be able to even compete with them. And this year to eke out a little bit ahead of them was really spectacular for us.
And it's so interesting because not a lot of people know your story, right? Paragon, the name, has just become so synonymous with success and winning, and not everyone knows that it wasn't always like that. Can you tell us a little bit more about your story and what it took to get to where you are today?
Well, it's been an evolution, right? Like anything else. We started out, I remember many years ago, when I came to the dealership, we had a goal of being #1 in the state. And when we were first #1 in New York State, and then it was how do we become #1 in the zone, and then how do we become #1 on the East Coast, and then we were in the top 10 in the country. And when you're in the top 10 in the country, every dealer ahead of you is a fantastic athlete. They're excellent businessmen and women, and we really struggled to get each position there, and that's really taken most of my life to go from where we were to where we are now.
And Dave, from your perspective, when we started working with Paragon, what was that like? What kind of challenges did you face walking in and working with Brian and kind of having to live up to these expectations of greatness?
It was immediate. You could tell you were surrounded by someone with a big personality, but more importantly, just a desire to win. This team is the grittiest, most hardworking team out there, and everyone thinks, Muhammad Ali is this great fighter. One of my favorite quotes, and I'll just make it short, is the fight's won or lost in the gym, out of the streets, 4:30 in the morning, not before he dances under those lights. And so I think a lot of people think of Brian and maybe Paragon as dancing under the lights and having all this success, but I've seen the hard work, the building of the teams. And I got involved in this in 2008. I think I walked through that door in 2008 during a recession. It was one of the worst times in the business. Both of us we're pretty optimistic people. We like that about each other. But even those times it weren't that great. So we just kind of bonded, made a commitment. We both wanted to build teams. We both wanted to build something great. We had a basis for that, and it was great.
That was really an incredible time for us. The 2008 recession happened. Like many other businesses, we cut back, we reduced the staff, we reduced headcount, we were contracting, and I'm not good at defense. I'm better on offense. And then Dave and his partner came into the dealership and said, hey, here's our plan. We're going to take the 10 tiers of marketing, we're going to align them with a single message in the top markets in the country. We're not going to just work with anybody, we're going to work with the top dealers, and we think by doing that, we can really overcome any recession. And I was ready for that, for offense. And we went on offense, right at the cash for clunkers time, and what a great time for us to really get together in business. And it's been off to the races ever since.
Well, and it sounds like, from your perspective, you kind of have always had this vision of maybe doing things a little bit differently, challenging the status quo, and not just falling victim to the routine patterns that a lot of dealers, are just used to, familiar with, they're comfortable. What do you think is the driving force behind your mantra of driving evolution and this focus on innovation?
Well, I think you've got to reinvent yourself. And we started out really reducing the cost or advertising in the lowest cost to the consumer, like dollars per day. So we started advertising $9 a day for a car or $10 a day for a car, and making it understandable for consumers, how they could consume our transportation for perceived less than other people. And when you put it, a Starbucks coffee, you could drive a Honda Civic for what it costs you for a Starbucks coffee. We thought that was really an innovative way to present that to the consumers, and we put as much emphasis on pre-owned as new. That was reinventing ourselves. Then that recession in 2008, what a great opportunity for us to look at the sales and service opportunity, and to see that as a business within a business. And so we reinvented ourselves there. And then the digital revolution that came about, your company was instrumental in introducing us to Google and to Facebook, and to seeing something that a lot of people didn't see. A lot of people didn't want to put their cars online at the time. A lot of people wanted to keep the prices hidden, and we thought the strategy of having a digital first strategy was revolutionary and evolutionary for us, and that continues to this day with advents such as AI. We think that's the next frontier, and thankfully we're ahead of that with Team Velocity in using AI to be able to target customers that have the highest statistical probability of doing business now and in the future, and using intelligence to determine that, not our gut or not what somebody else says. And I think that's really the exciting part for us.
Yeah, and it's, kind of reminds me a lot of this Amazon effect, right? The ability to kind of predict and anticipate a customer's needs. I guess for both of you, where does the customer experience play into all of this? What does it look like in this digital era and in the time of Amazon, and what can dealers do to make that experience more personal for the customer?
It's everything. I mean, Paragon has been the biggest proponent, and Brian right up front, of the customer experience. Nothing in this dealership gets in the way of the customer experience. I remember him saying to me, I want a customer to be able to schedule an appointment in 30 seconds on their thumb. No one's doing that. I want a customer to be able to pick up a car and have it delivered to their home in Manhattan. No one was doing that at the time. And I could go on and on about the innovations that have happened here. Most people think of ParagonHonda.com. They go to the website, it's beautiful, it's clean, there's no widgets on it. What they don't see is the site changes if you're a current customer.
The tech behind it is real, because you look at the face of it and it seems like every other dealership's website. Well, you come into the store and it looks like every other dealership. There's so much tech behind what we're doing, and it's all customer based. I think a lot of people don't understand how customer driven, how customer focused Amazon is. And when you look at the success, it's because they're constantly innovating, they're constantly making things better. And so we're saying, hey, how do we do the same thing in automotive? And when we started out looking at that, I wanted to sell cars online, and all of a sudden there's an idea that clicked. Hey, what about these guys? What about these guys at Red Cap? They're doing this with Lincoln. What if we talk to them about doing this for Paragon? You think they'd be interested? And we started, that was 2016, December of 2016. We delivered our first service customer in March of 2017, and we've delivered 200,000 service experiences since then. 200,000, generating over $60 million in gross profit. And most importantly, 200,000 experiences for customers where they were able to service their car without ever coming to the dealership at no expense to them for the pickup and delivery portion of it. So we took a page right out of Amazon's book, and now I think it's becoming commonplace. But we were several years ahead of this, and this preceded COVID by 3 or 4 years. And the brain damage that we experienced doing that made it all worthwhile.
And today, believe it or not, I think yesterday I looked, there were 80 people who scheduled service appointments using an AI tool integrated with Red Cap. And that's really says a lot about Paragon, because that's not going to happen with a regular dealership. He was like, hey, let's integrate with Paragon. Okay, with Red Cap. Okay, sure, let's do it. We had to build a whole new scheduler, and we had to integrate with Xtime because they're a wonderful partner of Paragon's as well. And so what happens when you work here is you get in the room and you don't feel like a vendor. You don't feel like you might get fired at any moment. You could if you don't deliver. That's part of the
We don't have vendors. We have partners.
They have partners here, and there's not a. And the irony is, when we work with most dealerships, Brittany, there's 10, 12, 15 people in the room. Here, there's really only 3 or 4 major partners that have come together over time that have been really committed to the vision that Brian's had for a long time, which is it's Amazonian-like. There is no substitute for the best customer experience possible. He says it better than anybody. Make it easy for my customers to do business with me, and more will. And we've just lived by that mantra as well, and it got into us early. I'm glad it did. That's the benefit of having a partnership.
And that's been it, the partnership. And it's not been easy, because I remember when we first built the pickup and delivery setup, right? It was Frankenstein. We took the online tool and how would that communicate with customers through a texting app. So that was connected to the website. And then the scheduler, right? We had to stitch that in. And then we built the whole thing, and then my service manager, Anthony Petito, said, hey, how do they pay for it? And I don't know. He says, well, I call them up and they give me the credit card number over the phone. They go, no, you can't do that. So then we put a payment tool in there. And by the end of the year, we had this Frankenstein monster that worked. It seemed seamless to the customer. Then you guys showed me at NADA a year later, hey, you're gonna love this. We built it from stem to stern. Now it's all integrated. And wasn't that magnificent? We have shared control of the process. It's not unlike Peloton. What do you like about Peloton? You can pick the instructor, you can pick the intensity, you can pick the music, you can pick every aspect of it. And who wins? The customer wins and Peloton wins. And so we wanted to give customers shared control of the process. And it turns out when you give them shared control of the process, they're only happy to do business with you.
So you say something really interesting, that you want to put more power in the consumer's hands, right? And give them a little bit more of an opportunity to, go through that shopping experience on their own. What I hear from a lot of dealers is a focus always on leads. I want more leads, I want more leads. Is that something that you agree with, disagree with?
I want customers. I want transactions. I don't want more leads. Give me leads. The lead comes to you, then you got to follow. I said to Dave years ago, let me be able to buy one car online. And if I can do that successfully and smoothly, then we can figure out how to sell many cars online. And I think that's exactly what we've been able to accomplish. Let's perfect one transaction. Everybody wants to sell you all their pots and pans, their website that does this and does that and does this and does that. And I just want one function. I want to be able to go see an ad someplace, not have a lead, have a transaction, right? Give me less leads, give me more transactions. It's all about executing the transaction.
And Dave, from your perspective, hearing Brian's needs for the customer, right? Making sure that we are delivering transactions, how does that drive you and your vision and kind of the direction that you take the technology and the products to make sure that you're meeting Brian and his team's needs?
Well, it's easier with Paragon because they have clear visions and goals, which is transactions. At the end of the day, we've had a lot of conversations. Some of them have been wonderful, some of them aren't always so wonderful. And it's not because we're so intense. We both want to win. We gotta win. We gotta win.
Bang on it to get it to come out right.
Exactly. But I'll tell you one conversation we've never had. We need more leads. We need more leads. We've had this conversation. We need more transactions. We need more service. We need more online. We need that. So, but most dealers that are listening today, honestly, if you get with your general manager or the general sales manager, the first thing they say to whoever they hire, let's say us, we're growing quite fast, we want more leads, which means we have to put lead gates up all over their website. And what we do is we put roadblocks for the customer. Want to find out what the price of the car really is? Tell us your information. Want to chat with us online? Tell us everything about you. You can go to Paragon Honda right now and practically get all the way through buying a car, and the only time we're going to ask you for your information, if you don't want to give it, is when you schedule delivery. At that point, we kind of need to know who you are. That's how far you can go. And sure, there's along the ways you can get pre-qualified. Sure, there are along the ways you can fill out a finance app. Naturally, you need that information. But at Paragon, it's about how do we get the customer as far along in the journey as possible under their terms and how they're comfortable. And by the way, that includes service and sales. That's not just a sales thing, that's a service thing.
The reality for a marketer is it should be for transaction. I'll pay more for a transaction than I will for a lead. So if you want to charge me more money, charge for transaction. The average dealer, right? Look at the number of leads or unique visitors we have to our website. There's no shortage of leads. It's how do you convert those leads? And many of the consultants that have come into the dealership always talk about Paragon. One of the problems we have is we have too many leads. As crazy as it sounds, your marketing machine works too well. We've got too many leads. And what we're looking at is that 2% increase in our ability to convert, having a massive outcome. So we're working on that flypaper, making the flypaper stickier. And how do you make the flypaper stickier? Make it more beneficial to the customers. The better it is for the customers, the more sticky the flypaper, the more likely they are to come back, right? Find, serve, and keep. And that's really been the mantra from day one.
And knowing that, at the dealership, obviously technology is great, right? It can help you deliver those frictionless customer experiences. It can help you really astonish your customers. How much of what you've built here do you attribute to not just the technology, but the team?
Well, it's both, right? Technology is only as good as it helps the team serve the customers. Technology for technology's sake, nobody's interested in. The tools themselves should assist the people. We're still in the people business. I think so many people are looking for that. How do I buy a car without touching a salesperson? I mean, I just bought a car, and I needed that salesperson. The car is very complicated. I wanted somebody to show me how to use the vehicle to make it easier for me to do business. Now, I did a lot of that transaction online. It cut out the unnecessary parts of the step. But when it came time to delivery and going over the vehicle, I certainly wanted somebody that was well versed in the vehicle itself. Yes, I could go on YouTube and get the information to learn about the car, but there's nothing like somebody helping you experience that car. And then trading in a vehicle. I traded in a vehicle and I wanted to make sure I got the top dollar for it, and the person walked me through it. I think that's what a lot of customers want. They want shared control of the process. They don't want to eliminate people. They want to eliminate incompetence. There's nothing worse than a customer negotiating with an amateur. You know, customers want to deal with a professional, and when they do, they're happy to buy.
I would also add on the side of serving dealers, you know, the arena for most people that do what we do is Zoom. You know what the arena is for him? This showroom. This is the arena. This is where they come every day. And one of the things I've been very consistent about with all our clients is I want to make sure that people show up. Yeah, we have great technology. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, it does all the things Brian says and more coming next year. But unless we have folks that could come into the showroom and say, hey, we're here to help you, and that know Ariel, that know Murat, that know the team here, it doesn't matter, that know Rachel. You know, technology is wonderful, but we still are in the people business. And dealerships need relationships with the people who are here to help them, and that can't always be accomplished through Zoom. Do we use it sometimes? Sure. Does it help us stay connected? Sure. But it's not always the answer. The arena is still the showroom for the business that we're in.
David, you know, one of the unfortunate things is a lot of people see us doing business together, and they'll hire you guys for 60 or 90 days, and then they'll say, hey, we're not first place in our district or in our state, or it's time, man. It's time. It's the daily stuff. It's the grind. It's building the processes, learning to trust each other. That certain things take time. Algorithm. It's the daily stuff that you do, day in and day out, whether you want to or not. That starts to give you traction. We get bored sometimes with our advertisement that works, and a lot of dealers switch back and forth. They never give these things time to grow and to gestate in the store. Our sales and service team, remember when we first did it, we were selling 60 cars a month and we were excited. That's a dealership within a dealership. It's generating 200 plus new car sales and 90 to 100 trade-ins a month. It's 300 sales out of the service department. When we got together, that department didn't exist. And if that were a standalone dealership, it'd be in the top 100 dealerships in the country. There's zero advertising cost associated with that. Can you imagine another agency promoting a department where you don't spend any money? You guys saw the bigger picture there, right? That those used cars that we take in are going to have to get marketed, and that's find, serve, keep, and recycling the customers through trade cycle management. It's been a key part of our success, and that takes time, right? It's a geometric growth over a long period of time. And I think that's one of the reasons for our success.
Totally, and it's, you know, it's the long game, right? This isn't a short-term solution. Looking back, what's the greatest lesson that you've learned in all of this, getting to being the #1 dealership in the world where you are today?
That there's more there. We haven't scratched the surface. And when I look at the number of opportunities we're blessed with every month, we're only capturing the smallest amount. If I can only get another 5% of conversion on the leads that we have now, then we'd really start to make some progress. So it's really not being satisfied with where you are. Again, it's not being dissatisfied, but understanding that there's more there, and that we could probably always do a better job. So that's going to be the focus this year. The award last year and finishing first in the country is great, but now let's focus on doing an even better job and repeating it, of course, as my old friend used to say. It's harder to stay on Mount Everest than it is to climb it. Once you get there, that's one thing. Staying up there. You know, we know we have a lot of dealers gunning for us this year, and bring it. We hopefully we're going to get even better this year as markets open up and inventory levels return to normal.
What's one piece of advice or something you'd like to share with those dealers looking to make an impactful change in 2024?
Everyone's heading out there looking for nirvana, the Jetsons pill, you know, and I think what Brian's really saying, and we both agree with this, high payoff things like becoming the #1 Honda dealer in the world, high payoff. It's hard, it takes a long time. You can't constantly change things. But trying to find partners out there that share your vision, that don't just sign up for something real quick and say, okay, let's see how it's going to work for 90 days. Think about it, take some time, decide who you think's in the trenches with you, who's going to be in the arena with you. And I think that's the hardest thing dealers.
That's my answer, right? You know, what's the thing I'm going to ask dealers? Are you committed? because your team's not going to be any more committed than you are, right? Do you care about me? Do you care about this account? You know, I know you have other accounts, but when we are speaking, I want to be treated like I'm the only account that you have. You know, and a lot of businesses, Brittany and Dave, a lot of businesses are interested in scale. I don't want scale. I want custom scalability. I want you to focus on making us the best. I don't want that cookie cutter approach. I want a customer, when they touch us, to feel something different. So a lot of dealer friends of mine, I ask, are you committed? Are you the most committed person in the business? I understand you have the most at risk, but are you the most committed? Are you there early? Are you in the trenches with your team? And if you're not, how can you expect them to be committed? Are your advertising partners committed? Are you committed to excellence? Are you committed to raising the bar and helping us get there? And thankfully, over these years, you guys have been great partners, really great partners. And I mean, again, I give you a hard time. It's because I expect excellence, and I expect you guys to perform. And there's one reason you've been with us, or I've been with you since 2008. You show up every day, ready to put on and do whatever is necessary to help us win. And the winning, for me, I think I'm just starting my career. And this, like I say, there's more there.
Yeah, and the great words of Nick Saban, this isn't the end, it's just the beginning. So congratulations again, Dave, Brian, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.